many streets here in the Rosewood community look like this one here, spots completely underwater. This is the proposed ordinance we're talking about that would create a rental housing registration for the city of Florence. A staggered move-in for Coker students is scheduled to begin on Monday. This is just flying off the top of these high-rise hotels as these wind gusts continue. Back in June, the state announced its intention to seek the death penalty against him. A lawyer, though, has still not officially been appointed to him. Today, the defense says he has barely anything to his name. Dozens of jobs here are expected to be saved, and many more are anticipated in the coming years. I want you to look at the house behind me. We're on Marion Drive in Wallace. You can see here the woman who lives here was not hurt, but you can see where a tree crashed into the roof this morning. I want to show you guys something. This is some of the first damage that we've seen from this storm. An executive order today allows them to function at full capacity. That is effective immediately. Medical experts, though, say that can carry with it some risk. Just moments ago, Myrtle Beach police identified the suspect in that shooting for us. The name there is Kemian Reese, 22 years old, of Greenwood, South Carolina. Reese is charged with murder, unlawful carry, and possession of a weapon during a violent crime.
News 13's Matt Fortin is live tonight in Darlington County with a look at the cleanup there. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Megan. Hey, Bob. We are still seeing some lingering impacts after yesterday's severe weather. This is by far the worst we've seen today. This is a lawn off Timmonsville Highway, still completely submerged underwater. Others we talked to were spending the day getting things back in order after yesterday's bout of heavy rain.
I've seen floods, but not like this. This is the worst I've seen it.
This is what Louis Damon walked out of his house to around 5 yesterday afternoon.
The water came into the garage about 8-9 inches in the garage.
And nearly 2 feet in his yard. He's grateful it's not in the house, but
I want to know, why does it happen when a big rain comes? It shouldn't happen that way.
All this right here sits back here. We have it put up. All that got damaged.
Meanwhile, Timmonsville Pharmacy was getting back on its feet.
This is the front of the store.
After it took in about 4 inches of water during the storms.
I kept watching the water, and I kept telling Mitchell, I said, the water's getting closer. It's coming to the door. And before we knew it, it was inside the store.
The pharmacy had to deal with some computer issues, too, because of the flooding.
This will be the third time, I think. But this time was worse than the other two.
Not far away, we found Kenyatta Fullwood drying out his belongings in his apartment.
It was like we was at the beach.
He got around 1.5 inches of water inside.
If a hurricane or something really comes bad and we can't stop the water, we're going to lose a lot of stuff.
Now, we asked SCDOT specifically about this location, what was going wrong with all this water. The agency said it had crews out all day working on drainage issues across the PD. It said it's getting to them as quickly as it can. We're live tonight in Darlington County. Matt Fortin, News 13. Cries for change Wednesday in Florence as hundreds hit the streets, all looking for the same thing. Demonstrators met at the County Judicial Center before making a loop around downtown.
This is the most people I've ever seen together, really, you know what I'm saying, under something that we all believe in together. So to me, it's beautiful.
The group stopped at the bottom of the MLK Bridge for a moment of silence.
We live here, this is our city, and we're not here to tear it up, we're just here to talk about the injustice of our brothers and sisters. Florence
law enforcement marching alongside their community.
These folks are angry and they're upset about atrocities that have occurred at the hands of law enforcement, and I can tell you that we are too.
Police blocked off sections of streets to make way for the demonstrators. Many onlookers cheered them on. FPD estimates 400 walked downtown. Officers say no issues came up during the march.
Bring the people together in the small town, just trying to get our voice heard, make our voice heard, not just in this county, not just in the city, but also in the state of South Carolina.
In Florence, Matt Fortin, News 13. The number of DOC staffers arrested by police services has more than quadrupled in the last 4 years, several at the PD's Evans Correctional. But changes at the department are on the way. Just past Bennettsville and down Highway 9 lies Evans Correctional Institution. It's a medium security state prison home to over 1,200 male inmates.
This is our medical area.
News 13 was given a rare tour of the facility. We saw cells, a barber school,
time to worship,
and even a chapel. But Evans made headlines last year.
The South Carolina Department of Corrections arrested a corrections officer in the PD on misconduct charges.
Accusations of sexual misconduct, assault, among others. A lawsuit alleged understaffing and inadequate supervision after a former inmate, Akeem Myers, says he was stabbed in a riot.
Your lungs collapse and you're being rushed to the emergency room. I mean, not even talking about the physical toll that's going to take on you. Psychologically, you're in fear.
South Carolina Department of Corrections Director Brian Sterling says staffing is a top priority.
We're desperate to hire officers. We're desperate to retain folks.
SCDC's Police Services investigates crimes by inmates and agency employees. Records obtained by News 13 show it arrested 9 staff members in 2015. In 2019, that number was 48. 7 worked at Evans. Are incidents like that concerning?
Absolutely concerning, and we will deal with them with criminal actions. These are law enforcement officers, and they need to be held to a higher standard.
The department is requesting over $100 million in the governor's budget this year. Some would go to raises for staff members. Most would be for facility improvements.
Our officers spend about 80% of their time locking and unlocking doors. This new system will allow someone in a control room, like you see on TV, unlock cell number 14.
But happening now is a new classification system where inmates are placed based on behavior and offense, not length of sentence.
So we can focus our resources on the people that need the most attention in our close or maximum security prisons.
All that, Director Sterling says, will make improvements across the board.
Not just one thing. There's not a silver bullet.
Director Sterling also said since he began as director in 2013, he's hired more investigators to look at cases like these. Legislators would have to pass the budget as the governor presented it for those salary raises and facility improvements to happen. We've got a full list on WBTW.com of arrests at South Carolina state prisons. Matt Fortin, News 13. Today is the day that school is starting for Florence 1 schools, so that looks a little different this year. It's going to either be a cohort schedule for kids who are going into school. That means they're going to be in the building every other day. We have some parents dropping off some kids. We have teachers out here greeting everybody, and they just seem so excited to see these kids because this is really the first time that kids in this district have been in the classroom since March when things so abruptly closed. Still some considerable water here. I'll kind of walk so you can see how deep it is. Teresa Myers-Irvin has about 54% of that vote in the unofficial results, with about 3/4 of precincts reporting, and George DeBailey has just over 46% of that vote. I got here about an hour ago, and there were some more authorities in this area here when I first got here, and some seem to have left since, but still definitely some activity. There are several areas that are blocked off with crime scene tape, and as you can see, it's a very active scene right now. It's just before 10 o'clock tonight, and deputies have confirmed that they are investigating a double shooting here in the Light Street area of Florence County.